I'm Zach Guenther,
And I'm Cambrie Kruger.
and we're presenting on why we should stay with a step tax system instead of going to flat tax.
Alright, tax is defined as a compulsory contribution to state revenue, levied by the government on workers' income and business profits are added to the cost of some goods, services, and transactions. Who gets taxed? Everyone and anyone who's ever bought something at a store. But income tax only affects those with a job and doesn't come into full effect unless you are 18 and make more than minimum wage. In other words, high school teenagers do not get taxed nearly as much as adults.
When we're talking about taxing, we're not talking about the 7% you give to Walmart whenever you buy a burrito or what you pay for Redbox whenever you're renting a movie. We're talking about income tax, and that's how much of your money you give to the government out of your paycheck. And right now, the married filing jointly, which is how most people are going to file taxes, is this right here. Right now, most people are within 15 to 25%. That's about middle class. And that's between $18,000 a year and $153,000 a year gross. So that's before taxes, obviously. And so if we go to a flat tax system of 20% for everyone, these guys right here, which is most of the people in this room, won't be affected almost at all. And so that's why we don't really care what happens, because it doesn't affect us. But the really wealthy people, the ones who make $470,000 plus a year, or $400,000 a year, they are getting taxed 40%, which is a lot of money, but they make so much money where honestly they're okay. And if we go to flat tax, instead of doing the step tax, they're going to pay only 20%, which is half of what they're paying now. And that's a big deal because that's where a lot of the government gets their money, is from the wealthy. And if we cut that revenue source, that's a big problem. And the poor are the ones who are really going to suffer from this. Anyone that makes under around 20 grand a year gets taxed 10%, which is not very much. And most of the time they can get out of it with poverty status and dependencies. But if we go to flat tax, which is going to be 20%, they would have to pay double, and that's a really big deal. Because if they barely have enough money to survive as it is, why would it make it even... It would just make it worse to make them pay double, and they would struggle even more. And I know this for a fact that if we did this, a lot of people would really be gone. They wouldn't be able to work even because it wouldn't be worth it, because all of their money that they're making would go to their house, to their taxes. They wouldn't make anything, and they wouldn't be living a good life. I work with people who make about this much, and I know they would not be doing well if this happened.
Moving to flat tax would also take away jobs from accountants and hurt business like H&R Block, Merrill Lynch, and various tax agencies. TurboTax is something that everyone uses when doing taxes, and they make a lot of money and have lots of employees. These will also slowly lose their money until they eventually demise, since no one will have a need to use their products to do taxes anymore. Lots of people will lose their jobs. Under a flat tax, the IRS would eventually be dismantled. Some may view this as a good thing, considering everyone hates getting audited, and some have nightmares about getting calls from them. But the IRS has 80,000 employees, and all of those people would lose their jobs.
Another problem with moving to flat tax is it would make it really, really hard for small businesses to compete and succeed. It would raise the barrier to entry, which is essentially the point at which a business becomes profitable. Wealthy businesses will really benefit from this, but the small businesses, the ones who are up and coming, the ones that strengthen our economy, are going to really struggle, and it's going to make it very hard for them to succeed. The government gets most of its money from the wealthiest in the nation. Everyone knows that. So it doesn't really make sense to cut their taxes by half, because that really limits their budget. Even though they don't really care about the budget to begin with, they're still going to have a lot less money. And once they get a lot less money and their budget decreases, the budget cuts are almost always stuff that matters to us but not them. Like infrastructure and public schools, social programs, welfare, all of that stuff that helps other people that just we don't necessarily need but is really nice to have, like funding for national parks. Everything like that will go away because it's what we don't necessarily need, but it's what helps make our country great. They're going to cut funding to that. Our national parks are going to deteriorate. They're going to take them away. A lot of poor people are going to struggle even more without any sort of welfare programs. It's just really going to hurt our nation.
In essence, just about everyone loses except the wealthy, and they are already winning. So it makes it easier for the ones who have made it, and even harder for the ones who are still trying to make it.